Hello everyone, welcome to another one of our Facebook Lives. We were so busy chatting about fashion and embroidery and what were we, and tennis, that we forgot to greet you. So welcome. I want to introduce Samantha Ploch today. You have seen her a time or two, right? 2 times?
Yes, this will be my 3rd.
That's right. And
lucky.
Yes. And she was... your hair is always so beautiful, but you were telling me this morning that your hair the last time was so embarrassingly whatever, and of course it can't possibly be with hair like that. How can it?
I had COVID hair.
COVID.
I did not get my treatments and...
All right, just a couple of announcements before we get into the heart of this, but this Friday is the launch of the May So Confident class. You got to see the garments,
so excited.
The whistles, and there are 2 kits, a blue-based kit and a peach-based kit. Which one did you order?
The peach, the one that Erin was wearing with the short sleeves.
Short sleeves, yes. Either one, they're gorgeous. Anyway, the class will be ready for viewing at midnight on Friday the 1st. No, not the 1st. The 21st, yes. And then the following week on Thursday, I'll be doing the question and answer at both noon and 6 o'clock Central Daylight Time.
Awesome.
So
I'm
thank
excited.
you all for joining me on that. It's really been fun. So it's still time to sign up for the class for this month, any month actually, or of course the whole year as well. So we hope you'll join us. So Samantha, we were talking about when we first met. We're thinking maybe 8-ish years ago.
Right.
At a class in Atlanta.
Knit class.
A knits class where you made
5 garments in 3 days, and a lady lost her pants.
That's right. That's the famous class where the lady lost her pants. It's still a funny story. It's really, we don't remember what garments we made, but we remember that the woman lost her pants.
Yes. That was fun.
Yeah, it was funny. Anyway, we've been friends ever since, and every once in a while I will lean on Samantha because she loves to make dresses. Mm-hmm. You wear dresses, make dresses, and why do you like dresses?
Well, there's a couple of reasons, but I think the main thing is it's one piece and I look finished. I feel like I look finished. I don't need a top and a bottom. Mm-hmm. The second reason, I feel like it's forgiving, so my hip can expand and mm-hmm. it doesn't show as much, obviously. I still look thin and trim.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, and you live in a climate
where we sweat.
Where she lives in South Carolina, so yes. There's the coolness of a dress.
Yes.
So do you wear dresses year round, even when it's cold?
I do. Like Erin has on a dress today with the pants underneath, and I think that's a very cute look. And it's never that cold for us. We may wake up and it's 40, but by the afternoon it's 60. Okay. So.
Well, I think you're right about the putting on one thing. So then you get to play around with jewelry and shoes and a bracelet or whatever. And so you don't have to find those 2 pieces that go together.
Correct.
I think that's one of the advantages of dresses. And from what I can tell, from you guys who follow designers and Instagram accounts and Pinterest people, dresses are the thing.
Now
everyone
it seems like
is producing dresses. And it's funny, I haven't worn a dress in a long time for a variety of reasons, mostly because I'm sort of sensitive about the way my legs look. Mm-hmm. And so for a long time I didn't wear dresses. But now at my ripe old age, I've decided to heck with that. Nobody cares about my legs.
Nobody's looking at your legs.
Nobody's looking at my legs.
They're looking at your jewelry.
Whatever. So I have begun to incorporate some skirts and dresses into my wardrobe, and I know that this summer, for me, it's going to be the summer of the dress, and I'm pretty excited about that.
Great.
So I welcome you for coming back. But the story I want to tell really is that, I don't know, like a month ago maybe, we decided that we wanted some dress inspiration using some patterns that we already have. Mm-hmm. So we chose the Florence,
yes,
which is what I have on in its original form. It has a placket
Yes.
front with buttons, a collar and a stand. It has this tuck right here that's kind of a partial tuck that releases, and then it creates this fullness at the sides. It has a placket down the back with buttons.
A faux placket, right?
Faux placket, yes, and cuffs and a vent. So it's, and a pocket.
Oh, that's right.
So it has lots of features and lots of elements. And you don't just make this in 5 minutes or 3 hours. This is a weekend project.
Yes.
So we decided that we would say to Samantha, why don't you make a dress?
A Florence.
From using the Florence as your inspiration for the dress. And so 2 weeks later, 7 dresses arrive. And I heard through a little bird in Houston
Oh, no.
named Rhonda that you actually made 9.
That I threw 2 away. Yes.
Yes, well,
They
that's
were
an
bad.
interesting thing that you're willing to do, that you are willing to experiment and throw away. And I think that's something that sewers really have trouble with.
I agree, but it is very freeing once you get there. Once you put that on, you say, this really does not look appealing at all. Don't try to work. I mean, you can work it and it just gets worse. I feel like just throw it away. Start over.
So I think that's great. I probably am inclined to not throw it away. I hang it somewhere and then it takes up space and I never wear it and no one sees it. But to actually put it in the trash is really difficult for me. But
it is.
I
Especially
hear you.
when you paid money for the fabrics and you put all of that time and energy. It is, but it can be very freeing.
But
as
even
well.
you, as I've heard you say, have trouble cutting into certain fabrics.
Yes.
But you're willing to make a few first.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you have to try it out and see what it looks like. Or
So that's a totally different philosophy than I am.
Really?
Yes.
And why?
I don't know, because I'm thinking this might be the last dress I ever make, and it better be really good.
Okay.
And so I go for it right away, and then realize that was a mistake.
Okay.
I think your way is much, much better to be we all have stashes. I don't have a stash, but I have a store.
You do have a stash here.
So I don't really have any fabric at home. To speak of, a few precious little pieces. But see, I'll make the garment with that precious piece. I won't make 3 ahead of time. I'll wait and
okay.
I don't know. It's just different philosophies. It doesn't matter which one. But I like the idea that you are willing to fool around, make mistakes, and you're willing to discard if it doesn't work.
Well, and I have tried, because I feel like you are much better at planning out what you want to do, and I have tried drawing it and changing my pattern beforehand, and I'm thinking, why did I do that? I should just go ahead and sew it and then make the changes on the next piece. Yeah,
that's interesting. Well, I think one of the differences is that I've been really involved in the development of a pattern.
That's true.
So I know the patterns. I only sew with our pattern collection. I haven't sewn with another brand in a long, long, long time, unless it was a prom dress or something.
If you try, you'll be like, no wonder I go back to sewing workshop, because they're terrible directions.
Well, thanks for that. But at any rate, I have a much more stronger familiarity with patterns, so I can maybe plan out. Now, some people will sketch and draw and maybe even do something on their iPads or computers to input a piece of fabric onto a drawing, and they get a sense.
Sure.
You are someone who makes it up, evaluates it. Maybe you take the sleeve out and redo it. Maybe you shorten it. Maybe you sew up a seam here or there. You take it in later. I think that's great. So,
okay.
Do you use a dress form?
I do.
And you actually use it as a design tool?
That's a good question. Initially, I'll hang the fabric on just to make sure I want to make a dress, like hang it over the side.
Okay.
Yeah. And in the process, like once I get the front and back together, I'll hang it there while I'm working on the sleeves.
Okay.
But my dress form is not the best size according to me.
It's not a fitting form.
I wish it was, but it's not.
it's more of a stand back and evaluate
Yes.
and look at proportion and
Yes,
you may-
like I took all these pictures on my dress form.
All right.
You know, I don't know if you can.
This is a really interesting thing that Samantha does. She keeps track of what she does. So
I have to.
yeah, you lose track.
Or I can't remember.
So you tell them what you do here.
So I take the front page, can you see this, Erin, of the pattern, the inside pattern, and then I mark off the pieces I haven't used. I write what size, what's the fabric, which I have also attached to the back, the pieces of fabric. I put what the stitch length, the needle, then what I added, what I didn't do, what I did do to each piece, so that I can look back if I want to make this again and know how, since I use the same pattern. Sometimes I crack open another one, but I generally just twist it around to where I can.
Yeah, I think this is brilliant. And you keep them in a folder. You could keep them in a notebook. You could keep them in a journal.
These are all my
kinds of
Florences.
format. Yeah,
All my
I think
Florences
that's
right
just
there.
brilliant.
So
That's just brilliant. So
Thank you.
do you copy your patterns?
no, I cut it. I go. And if I need a new one, if it's really bad, like it really turned out bad, I have several copies.
right.
I got my mom's, and then when I would visit here, I would buy one and then go back. Oh, I already have 3 of those, but you know.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, everybody has a different philosophy about that, of copying versus not. And you know, some people consider a pattern very precious, and it's their original copy that they keep. And then there's others who do cut it up and don't worry about it. So you know, everybody's all over the board on that, and there's no right or wrong.
I feel like when you trace it, you could make mistakes.
Well, there's that side of it, but the other side of it is, I find when I do trace a pattern, then I've studied it a little bit. And I have a little clearer understanding maybe of, oh, that's going to be something I need to pay attention to, or why is that dot there, and will I need to mark that? So there's 2 sides to that.
Well, by the time you've made 5 or 6,
Well, yeah.
I'm really good at the pattern by then.
Exactly. All right, so we're working with the Florence. So let's show these 7 dresses.
Okay.
We'll start with this. This is the last one you made.
Yes.
So there is an evolution to come to this. But
I love this.
so it's just real stripped down in terms of the details. No collar and stand, obviously. No button placket. You just put the center front on the fold. And you know, you do have to think about this center front, because the center front of this sort of garment is in the middle of the placket,
Correct.
which is not marked then on the front pieces. So you have to do a little math, actually place the placket over the front piece and figure out the seam allowance, take up, and then where's the center front. But okay,
Fold it.
enough of that, but we'll talk about that in a minute when we show something that Erin did. But anyway, no tucks, just
No tucks.
lengthened.
Yes. Yep.
So how'd you come up with this neckline?
I wear a lot of V-necks or U-necks. What do you call this? U-neck? I don't know. It's not really a V-neck. Sculpted is what I would have said.
Yeah,
but
a rounded V.
a rounded V.
I don't know what it's called, actually.
I have T-shirts that are perfect on me. I feel like they look good. So I took that T-shirt and actually I hung it on this dress form, and then I copied it with a piece of tracing the paper.
All right.
And then I folded it in half and laid it on the pattern and used that.
So you've used existing garments. Some people will use plates and platters from their kitchen. Like if you had an oval platter, you might put that on your pattern. Well, I've heard people do that. I think it's a great idea. Plates, platters, all kinds of things. There may be some, I should have looked this up, some neckline template things out there as well. I just got a new padded board that has collar shapes on it from, it's a vintage thing. And
That would be
anyway,
nice.
there are books out there of necklines that you can also buy. All right, so then you decided to face that.
Yes, I faced it.
Yeah.
So basically, you just copy the neckline. and you
We'll show you that in a minute a little bit.
Yes.
We've got it on a board.
copy the neckline, and then I had to sculpt the back neckline a little bit because of how sculpted the front was. I had to go down a little bit here, and I did a facing here.
Now you kept the back yoke, which you wouldn't have to do.
And I did not put that faux thing here.
So how'd you come up with the sleeve?
There was a Carolina Herrera dress that I had seen that
right.
I think it was $3,000. And it had a double ruffle sleeve. So I tried to do that.
I'm going to reach over here and get this right.
You go get it. I did not have enough fabric to do the double, so I did a single. It's a weird pattern piece. It took me a while to figure out another. I took it from a Liberty of London pattern that had a flounce sleeve. So I copied that, but it would not fit on this dress. So I had to work it and work it. You can see how I've had to make adjustments to it to finally make it to where it would work on here.
But it's essentially a circle, cut on the fold, and this is what you have to determine the circumference of to fit in the arm's eye.
Yes.
So that takes a little fiddling, but with that curve runner that we talk about, you know, you can measure arm's eyes, and then you can, but this would take some doing, and that did some, obviously you worked that out. So this is a rayon woven, and this is a knit. And because it's a knit and because it's a circle, you didn't have to finish the edges. So this is a raw edge.
And I didn't have to, on their pattern, they want you to do a facing on it as well because it would show, but on the knit you don't have to.
Right.
So that's another bonus.
Yeah, exactly.
Of the knit.
Well, I think
I love this dress. I think this is adorable.
You know, I'm pointing to the arm's eye when I should be pointing to the circumference here. I realized I was pointing to the wrong thing. So you had to figure out the circumference of the bottom of the sleeve to attach this. I don't know what I was thinking.
And it's tricky.
but
it is tricky. Yes,
but,
my other one is different.
So I looked at this sleeve on this dress and thought, oh my gosh, that's a totally different sleeve that she's developed. But it's the same pattern.
It is.
But instead of being attached to a horizontal bottom of a sleeve, it's attached to the vertical arm's eye.
Yes.
Same pattern.
The exact same pattern. And if you look on here, you can see where I wrote, I had to cut it 4 times. Cut 4 for linen long dress.
Right. So 2 in the outer fabric and 2 in a contrast fabric. And these are just sewn together and turned, and then you've top stitched this, and then it's attached to the dress, which I think is fantastic.
Yes. I love this dress.
So that's 2 sleeves, same pattern. All right, let's roll this out of the way.
Okay.
And get rid of this little guy. Hang this up here. This is a very long dress. I don't know if you can see all the way to the bottom. But one of the things, let's talk about tucks now a little bit, because the tuck on the Florence is about right here. I'd say kind of hip wise. So your tuck is...
I lengthened it, so I moved the tuck down.
Right, so her tuck is now down at the bottom.
Yep.
Just about 6 or so inches from the very bottom. That takes that away from the hip if that's an area that you're not wanting to emphasize. I think it looks great. You were concerned about that.
I was.
And you resisted.
I did.
That. That was what I wanted you to do, which I should never tell you what to do, but finally you did it, and I like it. But you also added the tuck on the sleeve, which I think is brilliant.
Well, I felt like the sleeve was kind of boring without something, so that's why I thought, well, I'll put the tuck there too.
I think it's fantastic. It brings the relationship of the tucks together, and it just really, really works. But what did you do on this one for tucks?
I put them on either side.
Now, isn't that just the coolest thing?
And it is adorable on, and I've added pockets.
Yes. And what you've used, we have a template for a pocket, a side seam pocket, that has, if you own the Hudson pants pattern or the Picasso pants pattern, or if you buy it or have bought it in recent times, this is a little download piece, PDF, that comes as part of the pattern, even though the patterns are printed. Did I say that correctly, Erin?
Yes, it would be in their account.
It would be in your account. So at any rate, so the tuck's on the side.
This is so cute. This really is a cute dress. This would be great to wear to a wedding.
Yeah.
To a party.
Graduations,
Yes.
a garden party, an outdoor party.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, it really is. Now this neckline's different.
Yes.
So this requires a zipper.
Yep. I didn't change much of the shape on the neckline. I just added the facing on this one.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you don't like as much of a V-neck, you had said, so I was trying to keep
Well, apparently I don't like to show much of my skin on my legs, my arms, or my neck. So, because I'm always covering up.
There you go.
But yeah, I tend to like things a little bit higher. But I don't know, maybe when I get into my summer of dresses, maybe I'll be changing my mind about that.
Yeah.
Because I do think there is something to be said for a more open neck with a summer dress.
Yeah.
So, but I'm crazy about the fact that you put
them on
these
the
pleats
sides.
on the side, you put the tucks on the sleeve, you lower the tuck, you've played with that in a big time way.
Yeah, this is cute.
Yes. All right, so now this one is in a rayon, more like a rayon chalet, and this time you kept the pocket.
I
which
kept
is
it here too.
a little bit of a pleated affair, so it's only rounded on one side, squared off on the other, and has a couple of tucks.
And my son thought I'd messed up here. He said, "Mom, you've got wrinkles in your pocket."
Yeah.
I was like, "No, that's the way it's supposed to be."
So here's the sleeve, just cut off, no tuck. Little bit deeper, not as deep.
Yep.
So you really do play around with those necks. So you must have a lot of t-shirts that have good necks.
Well, or I made some mistakes.
Well, maybe so. This time the tuck is completely across the front and at the place where it's indicated on the original Florence pattern.
Yes, if you took your shirt off and hung it up right here, it would be at the same.
So all you've done is lengthen it at the bottom.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love this high-low kind of, because if your bottom is a little big, it kind of makes it to where it doesn't seem.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed that about this dress, but that's a great idea. How did you determine that curve?
No, this is the pattern.
I didn't
change it at all.
Because the tuck
Yes.
brings it up.
Yes.
I got it. Oh.
I didn't change that.
Well, that's a cool idea.
It's just
I
a high
didn't
low.
realize, I
when
had
you
forgotten
bring
that it would
up.
do that.
Yeah. Look at yours.
Yeah, I guess it does
the
do that,
same.
doesn't it? All right. So, but the flowy fabric is really great.
It looks fantastic. It
Yeah.
feels great. And it's interesting with that tuck.
All right, now we have other tucked ones. This is one of the first ones you ever made.
Yeah, this one I had last year for my dress class.
Right.
I made this for
You
that.
taught a dress class here.
Yes.
Kept the original, well, you extended the collar, but it does have a collar and stand, but you've accentuated, you said this morning, the collars are
Big.
big.
Big collars. They're cuffs and collars are big.
Yeah, yeah. But this has the original plackets, the original buttons, a folded back cuff rather than a more traditional cuff. But I like the way you've done a
Kimono fabric.
kimono fabric or
Yeah.
a contrasting undercuff, I guess we'll call it. This has the tuck.
You can tell I've worn this a lot, can't you? It
No.
is washed several times.
Well, I don't know, but we had this chicken fabric for a while. We don't have it any longer, but
And do you notice these vintage buttons I
Yeah,
got?
those are
These
fantastic.
gorgeous. You probably can't see them online, but when they have a reflection, there's little dots in them.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
I love
That
under
collar.
collar and stand. It's contrasted.
Now this collar I do use often because I feel like I finally got it right. So I made a pattern that I've hung on my wall.
All right.
So I can use that one over and over again.
Here's this contrast now, and then you've put in little flat piping at the yoke. So
Yes.
those nice little touches, those little edges are just fantastic. I think it really adds a little snap to this otherwise all over chicken fabric or rooster or whatever it
I
is.
think it makes it sporty too. It's like
Yeah,
it
I think
just
it's
makes it a little more fun.
So that's that one. All right, now this one's going to blow your mind. It blew my mind. All right, you have to tell us how you came up with this.
Well, there is another dress that I have that has this detail on it. So I was trying to do that. And it was not easy for me.
Well, it looks like it worked out perfectly.
Well, I was able to do this part separate, the marigold color, and make it the pleats, everything, sew it, got it done. I thought, okay, now I got to attach it to the dress. How am I going to do that? So I cut it. The problem where I ran into is coming around to the back. It didn't line up.
I hadn't noticed that.
Well, in hindsight, now I know I should cut first the pattern and add the seam allowances and then put the pattern piece.
So this seam comes all the way
Yes.
to here. Yeah, I think this is really fantastic. And then you brought that color back up to the back yoke.
Yep.
I like the rolled up sleeves now. That's a little bit of a different, you can do that in a solid linen.
Yes.
Both of these fabrics are 100% linen. And, you know, a nice weight of linen, not handkerchief weight, but just a good dress pant weight. You've put in a zipper again.
I got good at zippers.
Yeah, got good
Something
at
I'd
zippers.
always stayed away from, but your
I
zippers
think
are
I
beautiful.
love the tailored feel of this. This takes away that ruffle,
Okay.
tuck sort of thing. Linda Wardlow, who we've referred to a number of times here, who helps us out here at the sewing workshop every once in a while, walked in. All of these dresses were lined up on the wall, and she said, "This one,
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
So this may not be your favorite, but we really like it here.
Yeah.
And
This one's I struggled with.
I think
because of that.
sometimes our feelings about a garment don't have as much to do with the final look as the process that we went through.
Yes.
And where you might have struggled with this, and maybe that's clouding your vision of how you see it now, but we didn't see that, so we like this dress a lot.
Well, and I think if I'm sending this to Linda, it needs to be perfect, and that's not perfect.
Well, and that's so not true, because I made a skirt over the weekend and nothing lines up, so there you go.
Okay.
All right. Well, you can make this dress in other fabrics besides wovens. We have rayons, we have linens,
Yeah.
we have cotton, and now we're going to talk about making this in a knit. So the first time that this ever showed up in a knit was with this. And Erin made this
So cute.
in a striped jersey knit. And she lowered the neck a little bit, left off the cuff, left off the collar, but it does have the tuck. Well, it has this wonderful detail down the front rather than the back, and there's a reason for this. And I get to embarrass Erin now. Remember I said early on that you have to determine where the center front is, that it's not just the seam allowance line at the front of a pattern.
Correct.
It is the center of the placket that gets applied. And I think that just kind of, I don't know,
It's
went
hard.
by in the hurry
Yes.
of making this garment as Erin was making it. And so she put this on, and it was huge on her. And we just couldn't figure out why. Well, we figured out that this had an extra couple of inches in the front.
There you go.
So she put a seam down the front and put a placket, the idea borrowed from the back of the Florence, and that covers up the seam, and it makes it even cuter.
It does.
So that took out the fullness. Now it looks really good on her. She added a couple of buttons, and it's
looks
just
great.
darling. This is a little raw-edged placket because it's a knit.
I love this. I think this
I
is
do
great.
too. So then I think it was after that you made this one. Is that right, Erin? And this is in a cotton knit. And, you know, this is just
It's
the
perfect.
simplest kind of tunic T-shirt, but it's got a little edge to it, which just puts it into a category of just one step beyond basic mall T-shirts. You know what I mean?
Well, if you didn't have this, I feel like this would look very frumpy.
Yeah.
This made it stylish and fun, but it's still a t-shirt, so you can be casual.
Exactly. So then Samantha made one, and I don't think Samantha had ever seen this one. But Samantha made
Right here.
this one. So this is a dress. Now it's sleeveless, which is another brilliant thing. So it's basically this, longer, no sleeves, and you've just done, and this
I
is French
reversed that.
terry.
Yeah.
So she reversed the French terry. And now we have binding at the neck and arm side, just like we do on T-shirts. And Erin can wear this as a dress, but she had on pants today, pencil pants. I have on pencil pants. Or yours are helix, mine are pencils. And so the slim pant works as well under the dress.
I think it looks fantastic.
And that's a dress you would wear all the time, as you say, to the grocery store. And
well, that's about the only place I go now.
the grocery store and to the garden party.
Oh,
like
yeah,
we've had so
sure.
many garden parties, but one of these days we're going to have garden parties.
Right.
So, all right.
I love it.
So those, now, let's go back to the facing idea for just a second, because you use facings all the time. But I just want to point out a little reminder, I'll let you hold a couple of these, that you can also make bias strips and finish necklines like this. So these 4 samples are using the same width of bias strips. And this one has been brought inside the garment and top stitched. This one is also inside of the garment and not top stitched. So it's real clean, and you just stitch in the ditch at the shoulders to hold it in place. The next one is bringing the bias to the outside of the garment rather than the inside of the garment, and then you top stitch that. And so you can do a little contrast binding. And then this one is simply, again, the same width. It's just wrapping a trimmed edge. So it looks like you have piped it and been really designerish. So this is what you can do with wovens.
Which would you say is most used in high-end designer? Like a Carolina Herrera, what would she
Probably
do?
a facing, wouldn't you say?
I don't know.
I guess I don't really know either. We don't exactly have Neiman's in Topeka. So I haven't studied a lot of that, but that's a good question. I'll start paying attention. I don't really know. Maybe someone out there really has a better feel for that than we do.
Or Kathy.
Or Kathy Davis. She might know.
She might know.
Absolutely. So just remember that. So let's look at some fabrics.
Awesome.
All right. Let's start on your side.
Okay.
All right. So this is
a linen.
100% linen print. So this is the very same fabric as what you have on. And it is a nice lightweight linen that comes to you a little bit crisp, but then when you wash it, it softens and gets really, really nice.
And it can pair with black, white. It could pair with so many colors.
Exactly.
We paired it with this coral.
This is a cotton jersey. So this is the same fabric as Erin has used on her t-shirt tunic version. Really beautiful color. You know, color is so in at the moment.
Or you could put the sleeves.
That's right.
With this.
That's right. This is a Liberty of London cotton print that I think is exquisite in its coloration. All the colors are simply beautiful.
Yes.
And it works with the coral as well. We also like it with this solid color, kiwi colored linen, 100% linen. So you could make the whole dress out of this, or you could combine this again.
Or use this as your facing, or this as your facing.
That's right. This could just be details,
right,
or vice versa.
Yeah.
Right. Then this one is quite interesting. It is somewhat of a panel print in that it has this incredible paisley at the bottom that's like a border. And then we go to a tie-dye sort of affair and then a little bit of plain. So to me, these kinds of fabrics are perfect for dresses, skirts, long tunics, where you just get this play on design within one piece of fabric.
Makes it easy.
And it makes it easy. And we happen to have that in 2 other colorways. We have it in a blue. You hold that one.
See, look how that would look as a dress. That's so fun.
And we have this one.
That one's fun. Wow.
This one, for some reason, is coming off the bolt differently. But same idea.
I love that.
Yeah.
And
So
this.
I think this
and the pink.
I know, it's kind of a tough choice. But very different flavors of coloring, but the same pattern.
This would
Same
also
motif.
make fun wide pants.
Yes, it would. It would make full-length wide pants, probably even short ones as well. I don't know why I'm saying full-length, but yeah. All right, so those are viscose rayon knits. let's talk about this kind of fabric. So these appear to be just like this one, which is linen. But these are a fiber called ramie. And I may need my notes on this, because honestly, I had to look up what ramie was.
What is it?
Well, ramie is, it's very much like linen and hemp, but there's a ramie plant.
Oh,
And
didn't know that.
they take the inner bark of the ramie plant and spin this into a fiber that is nice because it's resistant to, protects itself from all kinds of pests. So the fiber is grown without pesticides and so, in their cultivation. So for people who are very interested in that sort of sustainability
Yes.
kind of aspect of fabrics, this is a really interesting fabric. I need to find out more about why this is being used, maybe instead of linen.
But it's beautifully how it's raised.
It feels the same to me.
Yeah.
And looks like linen. But this one has a very Asian flavor to it with the fish, the koi type fish, and the big umbrella type plants. I love this.
I do too.
And then that other one is a more delicate. This looks like a watercolor painting, you know, the traditional Asian type motifs that people do.
It's light,
Very
breezy. I feel like this is both of these. I might have to take some home. Don't tell anybody.
So then we have another linen down here. This is 100% linen. More abstract.
That's gorgeous.
See, I like this sort of thing because this reminds me of somewhat of a cityscape or a landscape. If you're in an airplane and you're flying over Kansas and the fields are on fire,
There you go.
there we go. This is Kansas from the air. But put it with either this 100% red linen.
Just gorgeous. These are gorgeous together.
Yeah.
Look at that.
But I even like these together.
I know.
Now this is a rayon challis, very drapey, and just got this in. This is brand new. So this could be combined with this, or this, or this,
Right.
which is another.
Or this.
Or that. That's right.
You know,
that's
that
right.
green.
Another cotton knit.
Yes.
And this is
Gorgeous.
This color is amazing. So
What do you call this? Magenta?
raspberry,
What's that tag?
magenta. We're calling it magenta.
There you go.
Yeah, I remember when magenta came out, I was in high school. Magenta. Oh my gosh, that's a great color. We'd never had a color like that before. I know there are people out there that remember that.
It's like marigold.
Yeah.
Now.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And then this is the fabric that your dress is made out of. That's the rayon, and it's very poochy.
Yes.
Very
Exactly.
vintage poochy, really. Although it's printed on a rayon instead of a silk, as probably poochy would do. So, all right,
These?
we've got a couple of others. This is a Liberty of London again. These beautiful Liberty of London cotton lawns. I mean, there's nothing more beautiful than the base fabric of the Liberty of Londons.
And it goes with so many
Yeah,
different things.
It's about, you're right,
with
it goes
everything.
with everything.
Yes.
Yeah. And this one I think is so fun. This very stylized daisy motif, floral motif, is showing up everywhere for pants,
Yes.
dresses, shirts. I mean, this kind of reminded me, even though it's very, very different, but the idea of the scale of this for the shirt, the Florence shirt.
I agree. It's fun.
That's fun.
Very fun.
And then we have to pull out your favorite fabric.
Yes.
This feels very vintage to me, very English. It's just a good, fantastic. It's like an interior fabric in the sense that it feels like a good old Brunswick and Fee or Scalamandre
It
or
does.
Schumacher or Waverly or one of those kinds of companies, but
It's
everything
gorgeous.
is just a little bit softened, not faded, but
Is that upside down? Does it go this
it
way?
may
Oh,
be
gosh.
actually.
That
yeah.
one?
Yeah, you never know how they're going to come off the bowl, but yeah, that's the
No.
way it should be.
Yeah.
But this is cotton, I believe. Oh no, it's viscose and linen, rayon and linen. Oh, interesting.
Beautiful.
Doesn't
I love
wrinkle
this.
though. It must have more viscose than linen in it.
I'm definitely making a dress out of this.
Yeah, that looks like you. Looks good with your hair. And a piece that I like a lot, which is rayon, I believe. Let me look. Yes.
This is another.
And this is,
gorgeous.
again, another very traditional, classic kind of print from England, France. Looks like a French, what's that company? Well, I'll remember it when we sign off. So anyway, another drapey fabric. So Samantha came yesterday to do this Facebook Live with us. I'm grateful for that, but she went to our inventory and pulled out the things that she likes based on the dresses that she'd made. And I think this is Samantha's grouping. And I think
Colors.
Fantastic. Well, I think we're all ready for some color, some brightness. And I realize that the older I get, I really do look a little bit better in color than maybe I thought I used to. And I am wearing more color than I used to. And I feel, it makes me feel happy, makes me feel good. So.
It does, and people, I think, notice, like when you're at the grocery store and you feel better. The grocery store again, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm in this one particular grocery store every morning, or not every morning, but very, very often in mornings. And this one woman who works there finally stopped me after a couple of years. She said, you always look nice. I said, well, I'm on my way to work. She says, well, you're the only person I know that actually looks nice in this grocery store.
Wow.
I thought it was one of the best compliments I've ever had, because this random woman who I don't know. Anyway, I do like to dress every morning and feel good about myself and put on color and, finish it out and all that. All right, so do we have any questions?
Yes. Remember to repeat the questions.
Okay.
Not Mike.
All right.
What do you like about the Ramie versus a linen?
What do I like about the Ramie versus the linen? Honestly, if I did not know it was Ramie, I would think it was linen, and I wouldn't make a distinction about that, and I would use them interchangeably. There's nothing to like one way or the other about either one, in my opinion. It's just what the manufacturers are using sometimes, either in lieu of linen or I don't know.
I think it seems, I don't even know why you need to say it's Ramie, because it is just like linen.
It really is. It just feels just like linen.
Can't tell
it has
the
same
difference.
properties. Yeah.
Okay, can we see the back of your dress, Samantha?
Very plain. She does have the yoke here, and no tucks, just lengthened.
Yep, nothing.
Okay. When altering the Florence top to a dress, how much additional fabric should you plan to use?
Well, I think that you need, I would get another yard of something, because you're going to lengthen something in maybe 18 inches or so, and you're going to need maybe the two lengths of how much you're going to lengthen it. So if you think you're going to lengthen something, you're going to add another half a yard. If it's 18 inches, I just get another yard.
At least another yard.
At least.
I feel like the sleeves take up a lot.
Okay.
So if you're doing that rounded sleeve,
That's true.
that you're going to need more fabric for.
That's true.
Okay. That was another question, like how much additional, like if you're doing the yellow dress, the yellow printed dress. with
This one.
the-
Well, this sleeve pattern, you can tell, would take, that's probably 18 or 20 inches right there, and you're going to need this doubled times 2 or 4, depending on what you're doing. So you'd either need at least another half a yard or another yard just for the sleeves.
I think it's more than a yard.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay.
That takes up a lot of fabric, or maybe I was doing it incorrectly, but I just felt like I couldn't squeeze it out to get 4 of the printed linen out of, I had to use that other marigold on the back.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm not a savvy cutter outer like Kathy is, where she can make it work.
Well, there's not much wiggle room here. This is what it is, and you need it, and you have to have it. There's
yes.
nothing you can cut off of that to make that work.
Well, and because you want the circle
Right.
and you want it to lay right, you can't cut it funny on like
Right.
switching the grain
And
or
if
whatever.
you make the circle smaller, then the sleeve is shorter.
Uh-huh.
So there you go.
And it would look like a little ruffle then,
Right.
not a flounce.
That's right.
Do you need to underline or line the Liberty of London for a dress?
Do you need to line or underline the Liberty of London for a dress? And I don't think so. I think it's perfect as a dress weight.
Well,
Do
and
you
like
agree with
this you could say, like if you held it up to the light, you can see through it. But the way it hangs on your body, you can't see through. I mean, if the sun was behind you beaming, you would see your silhouette, but you're not going to see your undergarments or anything.
But in terms of the hang of the fabric, no. You don't need to change the character of this fabric for a dress.
I don't think any of the fabrics we've shown are too or see-through-y.
No.
You know.
I agree.
None.
I'd like to see a close-up of the tuck. So is there a garment maybe that shows it the best?
Would this one show it the best? Can you see that?
Get a little closer. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So just to clarify, so you use knit on the sleeves.
On
of
this?
That one.
Yes.
With the woven. So
Yes.
You can do that. You can.
Right. Yeah, this is a red knit on a woven rayon sleeve.
And the beauty of that is then you don't have to back it with anything.
Right.
It's the same color.
They are requesting, they want the pattern for the flounce. So I wonder if we could, maybe we'll take a picture of
Sure,
it.
we can do that.
Why don't you repeat that so they know?
Someone wants the pattern for the flounce, and we can take a picture of that and we'll post that. We'll get that out to you. Betsy, that's something you can make note of.
Okay. The bias tape, is it a 1-to-1 ratio or is it slightly smaller than the edge?
On the neckline, the bias tape is a 1-to-1 ratio or slightly smaller. The bias on the neckline is 1-to-1. On the sleeve, it's 1-to-1 until I get to underneath the arm, and then I draw it up just a little bit. That is all explained in a tutorial called 1 bias strip plus 4 stylish looks, which is a tutorial that's on sale this week.
Okay, do you want a close-up of your sleeve?
The sleeve?
The tuck on your sleeve.
Okay. And it's only sewn from here to here.
Right here.
Then it's not sewn under here.
Yep.
So it gives it that little, I don't know, fullness, I guess.
Well, I was trying to mimic what the dress does. Can you see it?
There you go. There, that's good when you put your finger in there.
Okay. So it's not very deep either. I guess that's a 2-inch total.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it before I put the sleeve on.
Good idea.
It would have been
Good idea.
Why don't you guys talk about some of the sales while I find...
All right, so all of the fabrics that we've shown here today are on sale for the next week. The Florence shirt pattern is on sale. It's the only pattern on sale this week. And then I have 3 tutorials that you might want to pay attention to. The first one is the one I just mentioned, the 1 bias strip plus 4 stylish looks. And these are actually the samples that were used in the tutorial. So you'll see these same things. I refer to this tutorial all the time. I find it to be very useful, actually. And then we have a good tutorial called Collars and Stands, which is back to this. Mm-hmm. And we have 2 different methods of installing a collar and stand in that tutorial. A more traditional one and a more new style one. And I go back and forth on which one I like better. I can't decide. And then we have another one on sleeve plackets. Not only this sort of placket. Oh my gosh, I ripped that. Must have caught it on something.
Oh no.
Yeah, this looks like I need to fix that. The little placket like you did on this dress is in that tutorial. It's sort of like a binding of the opening.
Okay.
And then it also has the pattern and the technique for making a traditional men's shirt placket. Plus, I think there might be another one in there too. It's been a while since I've looked at it, but there's several sleeve placket ideas in that tutorial. So 3 tutorials on sale, 1 pattern, the Florence, and all the fabrics.
And the Florence is...
The Florence is a printed pattern only.
Right. Maybe Betsy can put a link to that pattern. A couple people are asking about a line drawing.
Okay.
We can do that.
Maybe Betsy can put a link. She probably heard you say that, but just in case.
Samantha, do you make a muslin or do you just go for it and make changes later?
I just go for it.
wearing a wearable muslin.
Very.
Well, if you'd seen the first two that I made,
The ones in the trash? We didn't see those. Yeah.
They're not that great, but
Yeah.
but I don't use my great fabric. You know, I use it's still fabric I bought from you, but it's not the really
We have
expensive
not great fabric?
Well, just
Less
some that's
expensive.
less expensive, but not my $20, $30 a yard fabric.
Got it.
Those I wait until I've got it mastered a little bit.
All right.
Can you read off the number for the green linen?
Yes, I can read off the number for the green linen.
That one needs to be added to the sale.
24-421-1.
Okay,
It says medium weight citrus.
so you'll add that to the sale. Somebody asked about it. Okay. All right, and somebody wanted to see the wild border print magenta again.
This one.
That fantastic tie-dye.
Yeah, should we take it off and hold it up?
Yeah, let's do it.
Maybe even closer if you don't want to.
There we go. Let's show how it repeats. I think it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Now, do you buy this by the yard or by a panel? It's a panel, it says.
By the panel. So we're going to cut it right in the middle of that white.
There you go. That's so fun.
Mm-hmm.
That would feel so cool.
Yeah.
You know.
It's really soft. They wash
Fresh
really
and-
beautifully. Those viscose knits are just,
I think this one's pretty too.
yeah.
I just love this.
Yeah.
Isn't that gorgeous? You could even, could you do it this way?
Absolutely, you can cut that
Make you
vertically.
look tall
Absolutely.
if you did it this way.
Yep, you can cut this either way, cross grain or lengthwise.
That would be fun.
You could do it both ways
Oh, yeah.
in one garment.
You're right. Okay.
Are all the linens medium weight?
Yes,
And what's the yes to? So the linens are all medium weight?
all the linens are medium weight. Yes. Well, the solid linens are medium weight. I would say the printed linens and Ramie's are lighter weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. This is medium.
Well, I was
this
thinking
is lighter.
Yeah. The red and the citrus are medium weight, and then the printed ones are lightweight.
Yes. Definitely a different
Yeah,
feel.
I would not. I mean, they're not quite as light as handkerchief. One step heavier than handkerchief, but a couple steps lighter than medium. Oh boy, can't go there. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Can you show the print just above the green linen?
This one.
Maybe step
Yep.
down and show that one off.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the Liberty of London. This looks hand painted to me. Does it to you?
Yes.
This is what I'm
Gorgeous.
trying to achieve in my watercoloring.
But look at it with this magenta.
Oh, I know.
mean,
Look
it
at
goes
that.
with so many
I know.
colors.
Yep. Even
And
goes
it's
with the red.
so light and bright and fun, and
Yep.
I just think it's nice.
Samantha, on your dress, did you finish the neck with a facing?
This dress?
Yes.
She
Yes.
finished this neck with a facing.
I
Yes.
finished this dress with a facing. What is that, like a,
Oh, a couple inches.
there you go.
So you probably cut it like 2 5/8 or 3 inches wide or something to start with, and then you hem the one edge and sewed it to another edge, so it ends up about 2 1/4.
Now, I do facings because I don't trust myself enough to do beautiful
Well, maybe you need to
work.
watch that tutorial.
Well, I have the tutorial, and I tried it on a few, and it just, I need to.
Well, you know what the
Work on
secret.
it.
You know what the secret is to good bias like that?
What?
Hand basting. You can't nail that evenly without first hand basting
That's it. then.
with silk thread, and
Okay.
you do that quietly.
And I
in your-
don't have
in your
quiet.
Zen moment. Yeah, I know. Not
When is
everybody.
that?
Yeah. Well, there you go. Facings are for you.
Yeah, facing was easier,
No, you're right about that. Facings are a lot easier.
simpler.
You can understitch them, and so that allows them to really stay underneath and not poke out. Yeah. Here's my philosophy about some facings. There are times when facings show through. Now, it might be a solid fabric. It might be a sheerish fabric, and sometimes I don't always like to see that. But it doesn't show here, it doesn't show in any of your dresses where you've used it, so it's not a problem.
With the linen print behind you, Samantha, would that go with the red solid linen on the bottom?
Let's see. I think it would. For sure. There is definitely.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Really pretty.
Is the red a blue red or an orange red?
Gosh.
Well,
I don't know. Is it blue?
it's more blue than orange, but
What does the tag say? What does it say?
I'm sure the tag says red. Carnation red.
Okay. Because it goes here,
Yeah.
but it also, when you put it on the wall, it looks, I don't know. Wow.
I think it's just a good old red, crayon red.
There you go.
Right.
I wouldn't call it heavily favored in either way. Really. I think if you can wear red, this is your red. If you're a redhead, maybe it's not orange enough for you. But if you're a brunette or a blonde, I think it is red enough for you. Is that a fair way to say that?
Well, I think you could wear it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good.
Yeah. I
It's
think
a
it's just a
good
good
red.
medium good red.
It's not orange, it's not blue.
Yeah.
Are any of these fabrics drapey enough for the cocoa top?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would use the linens and the ramies, of course the knits. I would do these. I probably wouldn't do these two solid mid-weight linens. I don't think that's this kind of drape that I would be looking for. But we talked last week about making the cocoa in knits, and it certainly works. The rayons are perfect. So I would say the only two fabrics here that I might not consider for the cocoa would be the two solid linens. And then everything else we have around on the floor would be fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what? This would make a really cute cocoa.
Yes.
This looks very cocoa to me.
Very cute.
Yeah.
All of those Liberty of Londons are gorgeous.
Yeah. I forgot, this is a Liberty of London, isn't it?
Isn't it? Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Thank goodness.
Yeah, it is.
Could you use the panel prints, the paisley and tie-dye? Could you use those in going both directions, crosswise and?
Let's see here.
Yeah. Well, not as much one
It's
way.
certainly
as the,
stretchier on the cross grain. Depends on what you're making. I don't see this.
long ways. Let's see.
You'd have to really pay attention to what you're making because it's not, I would say it's twice as stretchy on the cross grain as it is on the lengthwise grain.
Okay.
I don't know that I would mix it. To me, it's one way or the other because you're going to get one side of the garment that, or whatever
Really
you were
stretchy.
doing that's,
Or not.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I've got a couple questions about how long the panel print is. If we link to it, what
Says-
it says there.
It says 58-inch
No,
panel.
that's wide, but the length of the panel, 58-inch panel?
That's what it says.
Wow. That does not look like 58 inches to me. So I think, well, I don't know. No, 48 maybe?
It should say on the product if you could say that.
Yeah, we can check that and make sure the product is correct.
Let's see if this
It's in the
one.
neighborhood of 48 inches.
Let's see if this one says any different. It says 58-inch panel too.
Well, we'll check that.
Okay, that's all the you guys need.
All right. Well, remember last week I promised you we'd see Betsy today? And then Samantha showed up.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. So next week we're going to see Betsy, and we have skirts and fun details to show you for next week. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you,
thank you.
Samantha.
It was fun.
You were great. Erin always is great. So thank you so much. We'll see you next week.